WHGE 95.3 FM. Coming up, the Open Eye.
Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego diddling. We do so because the chains of oppression on people's minds are deep and difficult to remove.
Hey, Steve. What's up, boy? All right, let's get him started. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm your host and third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs, here to get that third eye open. Yes, indeed, I got something for you today. Oh boy, do I. As we always start off, every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. And that's what we do here. Yes, we do. And let me get this disclaimer out the way here. Right.
Views and opinions expressed on Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to belie any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
I see you, bro. All right. Unfortunately, we're going to start off with some sad news here. Walter Scott, founding members of the Whispers, co-lead singer with his twin brother. Walter Scott, a founding member of the legendary R&B group The Whispers, has passed away at the age of 81, leaving behind a rich musical legacy that spans over 5 decades. His family confirmed his passing to the LA Sentinel on June 26, following a 6-month battle with cancer. In the statement to Soul Tracks, Whispers promotional team member Desiree L. Benson said the following: "We are all incredibly heartbroken. It is with deep sadness that we confirm the passing of Walter Scott, beloved member of the legendary R&B group The Whispers. His voice, presence, and contributions helped shape a musical legacy that touched millions. Walter's impact on the industry and in the hearts of fans will never be forgotten." Memorial details will be shared in a later date. Okay. Scott, along with his twin brother Wallace, Scotty Scott, formed the Whispers in 1963 in Los Angeles. The group, known for their smooth harmonies, impeccable style, and timeless hits, became one of the defining sounds of R&B and soul music. Though Walter was often regarded as the more reserved of the Scott brothers, his contributions to the group were immeasurable, from his distinct baritone to his passion for perfection in their performances. Beyond commercial success, the Whispers' music stood out for its themes of love, heartache, and perseverance. Tracks like Lady and It's the Love Thing resonated with generations of fans, cementing their place in the pantheon of R&B greats. Walter Scott performed with the group well into his later years, showing remarkable dedication to the craft. The Whispers were inducted into the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2003, a testament to their enduring impact in the music world. Along with his brother, Scott leaves behind his wife, Jan, 2 sons, and 3 grandchildren. Yes, indeed, the Whispers, they were a hell of a group, and actually some very, very nice guys. I had the honor of meeting them when I was stationed out in California. All right, WHGE 95.3 FM. Moving right along. I want to say big ups and congratulations to my dear friend, Dr. Yasir Arafat Payne, who is getting married today. He's marrying his fiancée, Grace Elizabeth White, up in New York, and that's a big congratulations. I got some more congratulations for this brother. His book, oh my goodness, the name of the book, Murder Town, USA, co-written with Brooklyn K. Hitchens and Darrell L. Chambers. This is for those that follow Dr. Payne and what have you, those that have worked with him, part team and what have you. It's very exciting news to share that Yasir, Brooklyn, and Darrell's book has been awarded the American Society of Criminology Division of Communities and Places James Short Senior Scholar Award. It's so wonderful to have a faculty member from University of Delaware, graduate, and researcher receive this award in recognition of their outstanding research. The James Short Senior Scholar Award is given by the Division of Communities and Place to the work that best exemplifies the goals of the division as marked by making the most significant contribution to the study of community and place in the last 2 years. Please join us in congratulating Yasir Payne, Brooklyn K. Hitchens, and Darrell L. Chambers. Murder Town, USA. It's available on the internet. I would advise you to get it. I read it. It's really a great book. All right. Moving right along. WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye. All right. Patrice Gibbs here, your third eye optometrist. There was a bill passed. The Prison Compassionate Release Bill cleared the Delaware House, a bill that would expand the ability of those serving long sentences in Delaware prisons to apply for sentence reductions due to serious illnesses, cleared the Delaware House Thursday night. Senate Bill 10 offers those 60 years or older with 15 years served. Those having served at least 25 years based on their rehabilitation, the ability to apply for compassionate release to a sentencing court if they have a serious medical illness or infirmary. The bill's path through Legislative Hall comes soon after the death of longtime Delaware NAACP fixture Richard Mouse Smith and the House Speaker Melissa Minor Brown honored his legacy after the successful vote. The thing about this bill is Dr. Payne's PAR team was a major factor in getting this bill passed. They lobbied hard to make this happen. And they have gotten some compassionate releases, to take place. And so this is really a great thing. And once again, I want to congratulate Dr. Payne, his PAR team, and colleagues in working to make this happen. All right, WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. All all right, moving right along here. You know, it's something, and I see this, and it comes from our own people often, and I really despise people for putting this out there without doing any research, without any understanding. All right, there's a post I've seen a few times, and recently came up again. And this is, and the thing, like I said, the thing that disturbs me is when it comes from black people. And it's that if black lives really mattered, they stop shooting each other. 94% of all blacks shot are shot by blacks. See, I despise that. Because this is that black on black violence narrative meant to distract from the issue of white supremacy and police brutality. And don't give me that I don't understand crap, because I do all too deeply, because my beloved sister was murdered. People commit crime in their vicinity and against whom they are closest to. 95% of whites are murdered by whites. So why is no one bringing up white on white crime? Before you make such egregious posts, gain real understanding of the issue. Black people are economically oppressed, forced into poverty. Guns and drugs are funneled in our community. Poverty breeds crime. Crime breeds violence. This is part of the genocidal plan of white supremacy. If you don't understand global white supremacy, everything else will just confuse you. Understand what's going on here. Because in this capitalist society, understand capitalism. Capitalism requires an exploited class. And white supremacy America has decided that that exploited class will be black people. And we see all this going on with ICE and what have you, and how they're basically just kidnapping people off the street. Pay attention. See, that's why they got these masks on. They won't identify themselves and what have you, because you know what they're doing? Just give you an example. Johnny Noviello, 49 years old, was found unresponsive at the Bureau of Prisons Federal Detention Center in Miami on June 23rd and pronounced dead at the scene. This is the 7th individual to pass while in ICE custody so far. That number's probably up. That number is probably up. We don't know how many people these monsters have murdered. And then they go to, certain cities and they get the cops to join with them. And you would think, well, maybe the cops, could temper their actions some. No. I'm gonna tell you what, the cops are just as effing crazy as these goddamn ICE people. Oh, well, it's the job. You gotta understand that the pressure that cops, the hell with that. Cops don't become psychos because of the job. Psychos become cops, and they're not vetted enough. WHGE 95.3 FM, Dove and I. All right. Patrice Gibbs here. It's something that someone asked, why do these MAGA people, no matter what, keep following Trump? Because they got that identity all wrapped up in it. That's why they take it so personal when Trump is criticized, because they have, it's the dumbest thing in the world, but they have fooled themselves into identifying with this fall billionaire. Oh, he's so sorry. No, because stop equating wealth with intelligence. Too many wealthy people are dumb as a rock, and they inherit their money from criminals. Trump's grandfather, the orange disaster's grandfather, was a pimp, among other things. Okay, and the stupidity is hereditary, because Orange Disaster Jr. Is so stupid. He got up and said affirmative action is when Barack Obama gets the Nobel Peace Prize instead of Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Wow. This BS claim isn't just offensive, it's historically ignorant. And what do you expect? Barack Obama didn't receive the Nobel Peace Prize because of affirmative action. That's the dumbest crap. He received it because he represented a global shift from war to democracy, from isolation to cooperation, from torture to human rights. Calling it affirmative action is just code for I can't admit a black man earned respect, I never will. Dismissing Obama's Nobel as for affirmative action doesn't make you insightful. It makes you a walking billboard for why history classes should be mandatory. You should be so embarrassed and humiliated, but that would require conscience. Isn't that so, Junior? Because we know your people have no conscience. Okay? Something you need to understand here. When small men begin to cast big shadows, it means the sun is about to set. That's a quote from Lin Yutang. What's that mean? When small men begin to cast big shadows, it means the sun is about to set. What that means is when people with little wisdom or character gain too much power or influence, it's often a sign of a decline, not progress. Shadows grow long only when the light is fading. Think of someone loud, arrogant, or manipulative, suddenly leading a group, a workplace, or even a country. Their influence grows not because they're strong, but because the system around them is weakening. It's not a rise, it's a warning sign. Pay attention to detail. There's levels to this crap. WHGE 95.3 FM. Yes, indeed. Now listen. As I said, there's levels to this. Pay attention to detail. Why did they burn books? Brother Sam, good to have you. Did you know that some of the largest civilizations in human history were actually African empires? The Kerma civilization, the Sudan and Egypt, Egyptian empire, of course, Egypt, the kingdom of Kush, kingdom of Axum, kingdom of Ife, the Ghana empire, the Mali empire, the kingdom of Songhai. Please note the oldest human bones were discovered in Africa. These bones, and the famous lady named Lucy, dates back 3.2 million years. Who knows how many civilizations there were 3.2 million years ago until 1600 AD. The Africans are the original humans, whether you like that or not. Actually, the earliest humans appeared in Africa about 6 million years ago. Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors, showed up 300,000-ish years ago, somewhere around there. Like all evidence points to Africa as humanity's birthplace. That's on science, DNA, and fossils talking. No debate and receipts needed from the unflavored trying to dispute scientific fact. Can't dispute that. It's scientific fact. We get caught up in all kind of crap that fools us about who we are. And I'm just going to be blunt. If you think a leader or religion, if you think you need a leader or a religion, then you are not conscious, period. Being conscious means you are capable of thinking independently and no longer needed to be guided. You don't need a go-between between you and the Creator. Conscious people don't need to be told what to believe because their logic and reason allows them the ability to use their minds. And that scares the hell out of people. That scares the hell out of people. You know, it's something I mentioned about the earth is a living entity. Now, what happens if you're a living entity? What happens when you get a virus? You get a fever. And what that fever does is it makes it too hot for the virus to survive in your body. The earth being a living entity has a fever because it knows it has a virus. That's why it's so goddamn hot. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. All right. So, the Orange Disaster wants a Nobel Peace Prize. Damn this thing. This cat must think nobody's paying attention. You idiot, you just bombed Iran. Now you and got up and said, we need to be at peace. I guess you thought that was going to get you a Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, it was a failure. Don't get it mixed. It was a failure. Because they were supposed to be taking out their uranium supply. All right. But see, you got to remember, you got the Secretary of Defense, Hegseth, an idiot, and a drunk who sits around spewing America's secrets and military secrets and what have you. So the Iranians, they moved their supply of uranium. So when the Americans bombed where the supplies were supposed to be at, that stuff was not there. Dumbasses. Yeah, I see these people on, Iran is a repressive society. Yeah, they repress their women. I saw this one MAGA nut telling a commentator, if you were in Iran and you got your hair out like that, they would kill. That's a lot of goddamn nerve from these Americans when they do all they can to suppress women's rights. Just recently in Georgia, or was it Florida? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in Georgia. A young black woman dying. Basically, she was brain dead. Her family wanted, but she was pregnant. So they forced the family to let her stay on life support until the child was born. They got this thing, what is it, the one heart law or something down there? Forced them. And they want to talk about repressive. See, what you need to understand, it's not about saving babies, it's about controlling the women. That's what that's about. And then, of course, you get these fools. Well, the reason that Iran needs to be bombed, the reason they're our enemy, because they hate our freedom. That's why they had the revolution where the religious fanatics took over, because they hate our freedom. This is the kind of dumb stuff you get with people that don't study the history, that have no idea how things are the way they are. They want to burn books. Because in 1953, the US and the UK overthrew Iran's elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh. They overthrew him. 1953. Why? Because he kicked out the US and British companies and nationalized their oil and planned to use their resources for the benefit of his own people. He was not a religious fanatic. As a matter of fact, his country under his leadership was really quite secular, and they were advancing. That's right, Brother Warren, it was about the oil. That's what it's about now. And let me tell you something. Israel started this crap. Yeah, they did. Because Israel has been trying to get America to go to war with Iran since the 1990s, since Bill Clinton was in office. Oh, they called it fighting communism. But it was just like Brother Warren said, it was about oil and control. And when they threw over Mossadegh, what did they do? They installed a puppet dictator, the Shah, who was a sorry ass, nothing but a puppet. And what did he do? He was the cause. He didn't get in there and do things to benefit his people. He benefited his corporate masters from America and from the UK. Murdered his own people. They installed this dictator and kept him in power for 2 decades. His people got tired of that. And see what happened, they knew that the Americans were controlling their puppet dictator. And they got tired of it. And when their religious leaders stepped up, it was easy to tell them that this decadent society, this decadent government controlling our society and put this puppet in, is the reason our people are suffering. We need to turn to Allah. That's what happens. No, it's not because they hate our freedom. It's because our companies, our governments, our corporations have dogged these people out. Pay attention to detail. Read a book. It's not illegal. WHGE 95.3 FM. Yeah. WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye, Patrice Gibbs here. You know, it's something China responded. Yeah. Now, Israel, your arrogance ends now. If you lay a finger on our cargo bound for Gaza, we will reduce your military bases to ashes and turn your cities into solids. This is not a warning. This is a promise and an appointment. You don't want to take that appointment, Israel. That's right. You don't want to take that appointment. Like I said, yeah, pay attention to detail here. Now, to my understanding, to a lot of us, okay, in order to declare war, Congress has to approve it. But see, we got stuff all convoluted and mixed up when George W. was in office. And the Democrats and the crooked Republicans went out and let him go to war. It was a police action. It's not actually war. See, that's the crap we got from Vietnam, too. Police action. Okay. So they, was it last night, yesterday I think it was, they voted to bring him up on charges for going to war without congressional approval. And of course the Republican-controlled Senate voted that down. Of course, with the help of some sellout Democrats that were had. Okay. And so he, went on with the war with that. And that's the stupidity of this fool, why he thinks he can jump up and get a Nobel Peace Prize. What he's done is, and this is the practice of wannabe tyrants, is to isolate their people. Okay? So he's closed the borders. Now, those of you that have that are out of the country, was I think June 25th. If you're not back in the country, if you weren't back in the country by June 25th, they're not gonna let you in, American citizen or not. Not gonna let you in. Now you got people that are stranded outside the U.S. who are U.S. citizens. You want to let them in? Okay. It's sad to see that some of these people are in a state of F around and find out. There's a lot of that going on. And a lot of people are finding out the hard way. They voted for a nut. Yeah, that's right. But, karma's a bitch. You get what you deserve. WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye. All right. Patrice Gibbs here. As I said, people are effing around and finding out. Did you know, and this is real crazy, did you know that a lot of Hispanic people, a lot of those MAGA Hispanic people, actually thought that African Americans were, excuse me, were immigrants? Yeah, they actually thought that we were immigrants. That's why they keep saying, oh, you better help us out. You're next. We didn't forget that you're the same people running around with that Trump song, especially like the Cubans in Florida. Yeah, we voting Trump, yeah. Yeah, and what happened? The lady that came up with that song, her husband got deported. Oh my. Yeah. They actually thought that we were immigrants and we're going to be next and they're going to come. See, they're not paying attention. Not paying attention at all. Like Brother Vaughn said, some people don't listen. Didn't listen when Trump himself told you about 2025, when all the people around him, he told you he's going to kick all these illegal immigrants out. See, what they really want is they want, and I told you this before, okay? They want all the Hispanic people out because what they're used to is black and white, and they figure they can, the blacks don't have any support, and they can oppress us and enslave us again. And in spite of all that, you still got these fools telling us to go back to Africa. Yeah, still got these fools telling us to go back to Africa. It's amazing to me. And I don't feed into these pretendings, but read Ivan Van Sertima. They were here before Columbus. They came before Columbus. Right? Because black people are indigenous to the world. Right? And it has nothing. Don't get it mixed up because you saw some dark Mongolians who were here. That we didn't come from Africa. Stop that, please. Jeez Louise. And to those that, all right, still screaming, go back to Africa. If you didn't want us to be part of your country, you should have picked your own goddamn cotton. Now look at some of these people thinking, and this is real crazy. They actually believe that when they get rid of Hispanics, it could bring the black people back. Black people will come back on the farms. See, let me break this down for you, okay? The unintended harvest. How targeting black Americans backfired. It backfired. The belief among some white farmers that elected Donald Trump would force black Americans into agricultural labor is a deeply flawed and frankly antiquated notion. This ideal seemingly rooted in the misperception that black people are largely unemployed and easily exploitable fueled a vote that ultimately harmed a much broader demographic. The push for policies like those outlined in Project 2025, specifically targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, was intended to push black Americans out of professional roles and into in this warped view into the fields. Let that sink in. However, the reality has been a stark contrast to their intentions. Because the DEI programs and similar measures have not disproportionately affected black workers alone. Instead, they've created widespread job insecurity and unemployment, ironically impacted many of the white individuals who supported these very policies. Chicken voting for Colonel Sanders. You got roaches running around, hollering, more raid. The attempt to harm black Americans has boomerang, demonstrating a profound misunderstanding of the modern workforce and the interconnectedness of our society. The Latino factor and a return to the past. This misguided strategy also sheds light on the animosity directed towards the Latino community. The desire to remove Latinos from the country stems from a perceived threat to a desired labor pool. The logic, as disturbing as it is, suggests that if Latinos, who are seen as reproducing entirely too fast, are removed, and Black Americans, whose birth rates are viewed as lower, will be next readily available workforce for agricultural labor. This underscores a deeply concerning pattern, a relentless pursuit of racialized labor force, regardless of the human costs. It's crucial to recognize the historical echoes here. All right? The notion that Black Americans are taking jobs is cyclical and manipulative argument. The current anxieties about employment and social standing are being weaponized, redirecting frustration toward Black communities. Even when the policies are enacted to fix these issues, end up hurting a much wider range of people. This entire circular argument is built on a foundation of outdated prejudices and a severe detachment from contemporary economic realities. A warning to white farmers: be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. For the white farmers who genuinely believe that their vote would usher Black Americans into their fields, a stark warning is in order. The last thing you want is Black Americans in your fields. This isn't a threat, but a historical and sociological observation. Do not be swayed by divisive rhetorical that promises a return to a bygone era. It's not happening. The consequences of such a societal regression would be catastrophic for everyone, including those who instigate it. This level of thinking stuck firmly in the 1700s is a serious societal problem. It's how crazy these goddamn people are. The idea that Black Americans are simply waiting to be sent to the fields reflects a profound disconnect from the advancements and complexities of the 21st century. It speaks to a mentality where people gather to strategize how to recreate an imagined heyday. A time when power dynamics were brutally enforced and human lives were treated as expendable commodities. The burning of a Louisiana plantation house for some might represent the symbolic end of that heyday, a painful reminder of a past that cannot and should not be resurrected. Because if you think that Black people are going back in your fields, you done lost your mind. You have some of these white farmers that are actually angry about this. This was the whole thing was, they're going to get rid of the Latinos, kill all the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, which will leave African Americans financially strapped and unemployed and unable to get jobs. And we would have no choice to come back to the forest. They thought they was going to get their ninjas back. Jeez Louise. Only a little known history. Black American aristocrats and white servants. It's time for a history lesson that often gets overlooked. Did you know that Black Americans, particularly the wealthy aristocrats among them, had white servants? Did you know that? Yeah. While not widespread, it was a documented phenomenon. White individuals, often immigrants from Europe, seeking work, willingly became servants to affluent Black families. They were often seen as docile and, importantly, less expensive to employ than Black Americans, who commanded higher wages. You see how this works? Imagine the imagery. A Black American in a horse-drawn carriage with a white coachman at the reins. This was a reality, a significant but often suppressed part of our history that challenges the dominant narrative of racial hierarchy. This historical truth was inconvenient for those who sought to perpetuate the myth of black subservience, highlighting a period when black Americans held positions of power and economic influence. It demonstrates that the ideal of racial roles is a construct, not an inherent truth. Stop harming yourselves. The cycle of self-sabotage. To the white farmers, to all who vote based on the desire to harm us, stop basing your vote on how to harm black Americans, because you're going to end up running into a wall that's going to tumble. That's going to tumble. This pattern of self-sabotage is evident across various groups, from conservative Asian Americans opposing affirmative action in Ivy League schools to Cuban Americans in Iowa supporting policies that ultimately classify them as immigrants and the next target. To the white farmers seeking to exploit black labor, these actions are all rooted in a misguided attempt to secure an advantage by pushing others down. The consequences of this diverse approach are clear. Project 2025 and similar initiatives fueled by these harmful ideologies are not making America stronger. They're tearing it apart. Many people question why black Americans believe everything revolves around them. The answer is simple: because you make everything revolve around us. Black people live rent-free in your mind. Your fears, your policies, your votes are often centered on the perceived threat or manipulation of black lives, proving for some the specter of racial hierarchy remains a central driving force. Yeah. WHGE 95.3 FM. The Open Eye. WHGE 95.3 FM. That essay was one that I refined from commentary from the sister. Unfortunately, I didn't write her name down. I will definitely give her credit for that when I repost this. Yes, her comments were right on point. And what have you. Pay attention to some of the sisters on TikTok, because they're breaking it down for us. All right? That's worry, okay? Good morning, my children of the sun. That's how I open the show. That has a lot to do with my understanding of Kemetic science and my affinity for things Egyptian. And also it has an understanding of what the sun is. I had this from another sister who calls herself on TikTok. It's your Zoom girl. It's your girl Zoom. It's your girl Zoom. Check her out. She's a very insightful sister. The sun's fury, a provocative look at humanity and hierarchy. The sun, that life-giving star, has always held a complex relationship with humanity. But what if at its core the struggle for dominance, particularly among those of lighter complexions, stems from an elemental battle against the very source of life itself? Let's consider this. We are at our core animals. While our brains may set us apart, we are undeniably part of the animal kingdom with its inherent dynamics of predator and prey. Historically, white people have positioned themselves at the apex of this hierarchy. They have traversed the globe, conquering and asserting their dominance, much like a lion confidently surveying its domain. The relentless pursuit of control, the drive to be the top dog, has shaped the world as we know it. A battle against the blades. Yet despite this engineered dominance, there's one force that doesn't bend to the human will: the sun. It tirelessly, relentlessly seems to wage its own war against those with less melanin. Is it possible that this constant assault, the burning, the aging, the cancer-causing rays, is the true unspoken adversary that drives so much of modern society's development? Consider the immense efforts to alter our planet, the relentless pollution. Could this be a desperate, albeit misguided attempt to subdue the sun, to create a shield against its unforgiving gaze? The irony, of course, is that these very actions only intensify the sun's wrath, demonstrating the futility of fighting a force far grander than ourselves. The envy of light. This leads to another provocative question. Is the underlying resentment some white people harbor towards others rooted in the sun's favoritism? The sun bestows life and vitality upon the natural world, and on those whose skin is naturally equipped to embrace its rays. People with darker complexions can thrive outdoors, basking in the warmth, absorbing the UV light that promotes health. Could this apparent ease, this natural affinity with the sun, be a source of subconscious envy, fueling a desire to control and diminish those who seem to effortlessly flourish under its gaze? If one is constantly at odds with the sun, seeking refuge from its intensity becomes paramount. This need for constant shade, for protection, could offer a surprising perspective on humanity's shift from nomadic life to settled, structured societies. The obsession with property, with building elaborate structures, with establishing permanent settlements. Could this all be an instinctive drive for perpetual shade? A desperate measure to ensure survival for future generations under a hostile sun? Is a losing battle. Perhaps, but one they seem determined to fight. Indoor worlds and engineered systems. Furthermore, this hypothesis might shed light on the very fabric of our economic and governmental systems. If venturing outdoors is a physical challenge, then value must be created indoors. Industries, factories, and elaborate systems of trade and governance could all be seen as a way to control resources and create wealth from within, compensating for a physical inability to thrive in natural outdoor environments. They had their own system because they couldn't physically do the work necessary to survive on their own. And what about the constant battle with heat, the ubiquitous presence of air conditioning? It's not just a comfort, it's a necessity. And could the push for indoor work environments and a sedentary lifestyle leading to widespread vitamin D deficiency be a subtle, insidious way to weaken and control populations who naturally thrive outdoors? It's a dark thought, but one worth considering. The melanin mystery. Of course, some might argue that all people can be affected by the sun, but consider the historical context, particularly in the Americas. The breeding of enslaved people, often for traits that made them more resilient to the elements, was a cruel reality. Was there a subconscious, perhaps even a conscious desire to dilute the very genes that offered natural sun protection, to weaken the melanin and make populations more susceptible to the sun's harsh realities, while the complexities of eugenics are far-reaching and deeply troubling? It's a consideration worth acknowledging when examining historical patterns of control and exploitation. The sun ages, poisons, debilitates those with less melanin, while seemingly favoring others. Could this fundamental biological reality be the unacknowledged root of so much societal tension and control? It's a provocative thought, but one that challenges us to look beyond the obvious and understanding the motivations that shape our world. We are children of the sun, burnt in God's own furnace. Our darkness is a blessing and an honor. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. Not the only show on WHGE. Tune in today, 5, for Brother Alan Lawrence. 5 o'clock, Alan Lawrence. We're doing the week with Alan Lawrence. All right. All right, my children of the sun. Time for me to get out of here. I want to thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something. I learned something before I got here. And as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. This has been Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm Patrice Gibbs. Thanks for joining me. All right. Like I always tell you, global African supremacy. Because the world was a better place when the African ruled. Obviously, the sun agrees. Patrice Gibbs. Come on.